Okay.
How's that?
Here I am in Castro Valley, probably the furthest I've ever been from the ocean to do an off-lit radio show. But it's worth the trip because this gentleman in front of us here came on the show about 3 or 4 years ago in Santa Cruz when I was at the radio station, and I found this to be truly fascinating part of surfing and actually just climate and weather itself. So this gentleman right here is Mark Sponsler with Stormsurf, and I want to thank him for inviting me to his home and going to tell us all what's going on, all the new technology, all what's happening, and what's happening this winter. We're now in, what is it, October?
Yeah.
Winter's coming up, so we're going to find out what's happening, and maybe he can fill us in. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. So I think I'll start off with since you were last on the show, has technology changed it a lot?
Not a whole lot.
No?
I mean, computers are computers.
Right.
Memory keeps getting cheaper. The National Weather Service is upgrading their computers so they can build higher resolution models and that sort of thing. But it's still basically the same technology, just higher fidelity. And
I got a hold of you before because you do the surf call cost not just for Mavericks but for many big wave surf spots, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
And what I found fascinating was you actually had it pinpointed where you can tell when the swell is hitting. Let's say Mavericks, for example, within a half an hour, or even
exactly.
Right. You can actually but you're the one that calls. It's going to say that there's now a chance for a contest or.
Yeah, I work with Jeff and the contest organizers, whoever's running it, to try to dial it in. It's the combination of swell, wind, tide, weather. It's got to be during daylight hours. So, I mean, there's multiple variables that all intersect, and you got to get them all converging at the same spot at the same time to be able to run a contest.
So, you got the screen back here.
Yeah.
What do you look for? What are you looking for? Let's say, how far do you go out? How far distance-wise do you go out?
Well, so...
I mean, Japan and that...
Yeah, exactly. So there's Half Moon Bay. I don't know if you can see that, but I can zoom the whole way out to, forever, the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
And typically, we're looking for something up in the Gulf of Alaska.
Okay.
And the North Dateline region. I don't know if you can see this, but I mean, it's 2,000 to 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Oh, you're about ready to hit
I got it, yeah. Perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So we're looking, there's the west coast of the United States, and we're out. Here's the Aleutian Islands. We're looking out in this region.
There's like the Bering Sea almost, right?
Yeah, but south of the Bering Sea,
okay.
If you're up in the Bering Sea, you're not going to get anything. The islands here block it. So it's, you can pretty much draw a box in the ocean out here where the storm has to be and how strong the seas have to be able to make a swell for.
What do you see on your screen that made it? You're like, we have something brewing here.
Well, so this is just Google Earth, basically, right. But then I got other things we can look at if you really want to go there.
Absolutely.
Okay. I assume you're going to edit this or something.
I don't edit anything.
Oh, it's raw.
It's raw as can be.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is.
And I will. So I go look at the wave models here, and here we go. And I'll just blow that up. All right. So this is projected sea heights over the North Pacific Ocean for the next week. And actually, your timing couldn't have been any better. We're actually... First little gale right there, 21-foot seas. Then there's this other gale forecast to blow up in about a week from now with 40-foot seas aimed right at the U.S. West Coast. So theoretically, fall is starting in the next week.
Right.
And what is
it? For surfing.
For a surfing perspective, right. Weather-wise, probably no change, locally. But the point being that we have had, the middle of October. Yeah. Typically, we see fall surf starting in the middle of August.
Yeah.
We'll get our first little swell, and by September, we're in business. And here it is, mid-October, and we're just now maybe going to get the first fall swell.
From the north, though, correct?
Yes, from the north.
I know we've had some couple of good south swells that have arrived in Santa Cruz in the last few months.
Right, yeah, but this is the transition. So summertime is southern hemisurf, right? New Zealand and all that. And now fall surf typically comes from the northern hemisphere. And we haven't had anything.
Nothing.
And this is the first of it now just starting to wake up.
Okay, so this is what's happening on the screen right here. It's the beginning of something cooking.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. You get a storm out here. It generates wind, which produces seas, and these seas right here. So this is 102 hours out from now. Those seas are 42 feet, 42-foot seas. In height.
Right.
Well, they theoretically will be 42 feet.
Okay.
102 hours from now. Right? So do you believe a model, that goes 4 or 5 days into the future? It's probably not too bad.
Right.
And it's been consistently on the models here for a couple of days now. So I'd say the odds of something happening are pretty.
Are you usually right with your forecast, or is you usually pretty correct?
I try to be real conservative, and you can look at this, go, some sites will go, oh my gosh, there's going to be, 20-foot Hawaiian a week from now, and everyone's hair on fire, and I'm like, yeah, right, sure, I'll believe it. So see, this is 102 hours.
Yeah, how far do you believe it? How far out do you believe it?
Well, if you're really hardcore, 0 hours. That's what's happening right now, and that's only what you should believe, because all the rest of it is just made up hooey by a computer, right?
Right.
And you can go out maybe 2 or 3 days and you go, yeah, that's pretty good. But once you start getting like 5 and 6 days out, it starts getting, maybe it's believable, but the models go out 2 weeks.
Right.
And if you go out and watch 2 weeks, almost nothing that's forecast 2 weeks out ever actually develops.
You focus on Mavericks, or are you focusing also on other spots?
I focus anywhere that somebody tells me to focus, and they're willing to throw a little money my way. So I do stuff.
So this is a paid gig. Is this a full-time gig?
This is a paid. It's a paid gig. Yeah. I do forecast for. So there's film crews and there's documentary projects going on, and there's groups all over the planet. Doing stories about whomever, wherever, chasing some big wave. Yeah. And I'm available to help those projects and try to dial in the forecast.
Are you also focused on climate change at this point, or no?
I personally am, but I mean, there's no official climate change forecast or anything like that.
Have you seen changes with the ocean in the last few years?
Well, for sure. So NOAA for sure has. So I try to focus on hard data, not made up and what ifs and maybes. Right. And NOAA, has been monitoring the temperatures in the ocean for decades upon decades, and they literally have a set of data they use to decide what is normal, because deviations from normal are what define El Nino and La Nina. Yeah. And what they're finding is the temperature of the ocean surface, especially down on the equator, is steadily getting warmer over the decades, and they have to keep changing their baseline of what is considered normal. They have to keep raising it and say the new normal is this. And I mean, we're not talking a lot. We're talking a couple of tenths of a degree. Right. But a couple of tenths of a degree is the difference between a neutral year and an El Nino year. Right. So what now is, normal would have been considered El Nino 30 years ago.
El Nino means what? For those who don't know, El Nino means what?
Okay, so there's 2 different major weather cycles that affect global weather, around the planet. It's La Nina and El Nino.
Why do they use the Spanish names, I wonder?
Yeah, because it really, in the end, it affects the water temperatures off of Ecuador and Peru, which is Spanish. So El Nino is the little baby boy, right? Okay, and it's because it happens at Christmas. Typically is when it manifests, and temperatures during El Nino get a lot warmer than normal off of Ecuador and Peru. Okay. And during La Nina, it does the opposite. It gets a lot colder than normal. Right. Okay, and you go, well, how does that affect anything? Yeah. We're talking only a half a degree or something. Yeah. But when water temperatures are warmer across the equator, and especially over in the East Pacific, that creates more evaporation, right?
Yeah.
And when you get evaporation, you get lifting air and lifting moisture up into the atmosphere, and that gets caught by the jet stream. That changes the jet stream pattern. It pushes it down into like California and the Pacific, and further down the U.S. West Coast. We get a lot of rain into California and big snows and all that.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is when water temperatures get colder off of Ecuador, okay, that doesn't support evaporation. You get high pressure building up over there. And all of a sudden, the jet stream basically just veers way north up through the Bering Sea in the Pacific, and you end up with no rain, no nothing, California, and like we're in right now, this massive drought, right?
Is there do you have a forecast for this winter, do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
What's it going to be like?
So what it appears is happening, and this is kind of like breaking news, is in the next week or two, La Nina, we think, is going to start completely dissipating.
Which means?
For water for California this winter, maybe starting late January, early February, all of a sudden the rains will start showing up and the snow will start building up in the mountains.
Which is late for California. Right?
Well, it's been, so you talk about the global warming thing and all, and change and all that. I've been noticing over the past 2 decades that used to be there'd be snow in the mountains at Christmas.
Because you're an avid skier. You're an avid snow person.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So we'd be skiing at Thanksgiving.
I know.
Or at least around Christmas time, and lately it's been bare rock.
Right.
Up, you go up into the Sierra, and the snow season doesn't really start till like the first week in January now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that probably will still be the case this year, but at least as we get deeper into winter, things should wake up, and maybe we'll come out with a normal amount of precipitation for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
Yeah. Looking at this right here. What I'm just gonna pinpoint maybe one event. What event has excited you so much? Like you actually want to get out of your chair and go get in your car and drive to see go to Maz. I mean, what year was it that has produced something just out of this world?
In 1997.
Right.
In September 20th, I think it was, of 1997, there was a tropical system. Here's Japan right here.
Yeah.
That blew up here, got caught by the jet stream, turned and went over the dateline. I don't know if you can see it right there.
Okay, yeah.
And then it absolutely exploded. 50-foot seas in September on the dateline made this huge swell. I mean, and this was back in the Stone Age comparatively compared to now.
Right.
And we knew a swell was coming, but we weren't sure how big it was, and there was like not a breath of wind. There hadn't even been a little ripple breaking out there. And next thing you know, it was 20-foot Hawaiian and just kegging massive surf, and it held for 4 days.
Yeah. When you see that and who's the first person you call?
Jeff Clark. For sure.
I was gonna yeah.
And him and I were talking a lot back in those days.
Yeah.
I was just trying to sort of because I hadn't been here that long. I was just trying to figure things out. And Jeff, he'd been here forever, any help he could get was a good thing.
Did you earn his trust?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. So how when you see this once the storm system heads towards Mavericks, how soon can you make a call of when it's going to arrive, what time it's going to arrive, what day it's going to arrive, what week it may arrive? You can pinpoint it to.
So literally. So right before you showed up, I was looking at this model, I was picking data off it, and I was doing my calculations to determine when the swell would arrive. Okay, even though it's a forecast out 108 hours. So theoretically, as soon as something shows up in the models, you can start crunching the numbers and figuring out when the swell will arrive.
Will something like that change course at all? And just
yes, it will.
You can come up with all the numbers you want.
But it doesn't mean anything.
If it decides to tack to the right.
So what you do is you have to go, it's only once the storm actually forms. So right now, let's go back to 0 hour hindcast. That's today, right now. So this shows there's 21-foot seas out on, well, here's the date line and there's the Aleutians.
Right.
21-foot seas. So I can take that and say, yes, I know that a swell will be generated by that, and that's the baseline set of information I'll use to determine what's coming and what I know I can hang my hat on.
Right, right. Do you, what other areas, can you just go to a different big wave spot, like in Hawaii or out in
Same deal. So Hawaii,
out in Portugal. Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, Hawaii's right there. But how about the? Let's do this. How about the Atlantic?
Let me ask you a question about Nazar, right?
Yeah.
That seems to become like the big wave spot. Only in the last 5 years has it been put on the radar, on the map, no pun intended, but it just seems to have arisen as a big wave spot that we didn't talk. It didn't seem like
it didn't really exist. So there.
It just all of a sudden showed up out of the blue, like like 5 years ago.
So rather than me telling you all that, there is a show called The 100-Foot Wave.
Yeah.
Okay, featuring Garrett McNamara, and they go. I think it's on HBO.
Yeah.
And it's a 5 or 6 part series, and it tells the whole story of how that place came to be, and some amazing footage from there.
Yeah.
Giant from the water angle shots of the waves.
When did you first learn about that spot?
About like everybody else, you know.
Oh my God!
Yeah, what is this? You know, and at first the first pictures you go, it just looks like a giant mush burger. It's not a real wave. But then you start getting more into it, and you realize, no, I mean it's a freak of nature for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really big wave. But honestly, this is my 2 cents worth. It's more of a tow-in wave than a paddle-in wave. You can try paddling in, but when it gets really big, there's no way you can paddle. The only way you can ride it is to tow in.
You're an avid surfer.
Yes.
Which wave would you not want to surf? Which way? Yeah, I'm not going. No.
I'm not going to Nazare.
Okay.
I'm not going to Chopu.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's just too shallow, too heavy.
Right.
Puerto Escondido, maybe, but you know, I in my advanced old age now, I kind of like a channel. I mean, I'll go. I'd like to at least paddle out at Jaws, you know, and I haven't been there. I've surfed Waimea. Waimea is good. It's fun. And there's a bunch of other breaks over there, but Chopu, no. Nazare, no.
The whole Maverick, the wave of Mavericks, it seems to be like it's got so many people involved over the last 20 years. It just seems like it's almost where Mother Nature's trying to kick everybody out. And I think now Mother Nature's getting her due and getting the wave back. But
yes.
A contest or people trying to make money out of it. It just seems to have this it seems to be, to me, jinxed almost, where everybody that got involved was, and Mother Nature's no, and they're doomed for failure. And I think now Jeff's got that. Maybe Jeff and his crew have got that wave back to just being a wave.
Yeah. Well, what they've done, I mean, to do a contest, you know, where everybody shows up on a day.
That was your deal. You made the call, and every surfer around the world had 48 hours to get there.
Right.
Logistically,
it's a night. And then what about all the guys with the cameras and the film and all? I mean, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that happen.
And based upon your call.
Well, it wasn't just me. I mean, I gave weather data to the money people that then, you know, gave the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Was that stressful? It must have been
very stressful. Yeah, for everybody involved.
Right.
I mean, because you're putting a lot of money. Basically, you're taking $1 million and putting it on a roulette wheel, and you're saying, and not just red or black, but you're picking one number and saying, okay, let's go, right? And then you
the odds weren't very good.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with a lot of the big wave contests is logistically, it's just hard to, you know, do the we have a 3-month window, and any one day in 3 months might be the magic day kind of thing.
So what you have right now is Atlantic, right?
Yes.
There's my hometown over there. I can see that.
Oh, right up there. There you
Southampton, England.
Yeah.
Right, and then
Nazare is right there.
So what's going on over there?
So right now, let's go back. Let's go back to today, and so I'm taking this back to 0 hour hindcast. Right now, not a whole lot. Some 20-foot seas off of Greenland and Iceland. looking forward to, oh, well, look at that. In 12 hours, actually later today, supposed to have 27-foot seas, poised well for England, and actually maybe a little bit of pulse for Nazaré.
Yeah.
You can see that, and you can literally see the front of the swell plowing right in this weekend.
So you want to be in Ireland or east coast, west coast of France, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then looking further out, well, look at that. The low just looks like it's going to continue to circulate out there on Tuesday and Wednesday. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
So, it looks like not only is the Pacific going to wake up, but it looks like the Atlantic's going to try as well.
Wow, that's incredible how you can do that.
Yeah.
And let me for the audience who's watching, what creates big waves?
Oh yeah, Big Wave 101.
Yeah, Wave 101.
You need a storm out over the ocean, generating significant winds over a broad area. So not like a hurricane. A hurricane has strong winds, but they're just over a very concentrated area.
Right.
You need a winter storm that has
that's 3,000 miles wide.
Yeah, well, at least 1,000
1,000
miles of fetch of winds aimed at your beach.
Fetch means
it's of winds at 35 knots or greater blowing in a single direction aimed at your beach for at least 24 hours. Okay, and what happens is the wind starts blowing on the ocean surface. It gets traction on the ocean surface. It makes little ripples. And then as more wind starts catching more water and pushing it into those ripples, the ripples get bigger and bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, you have the perfect storm. Right? But you don't want to try to surf those waves in the perfect storm. Most people think, oh, when it's all windy out, that's good surfing weather. No. You want the storm to be literally 1,000 miles away from your beach. And it's like taking a concrete block and dumping it into a swimming pool. The ripples radiate out away from where the block impacts. So the wind is like our concrete block. Right.
So the wind makes the waves, but you don't want the wind. You don't want the wind at where you're going to be taken off on a surfboard.
Exactly. You want it to be dead calm. No wind at all. That's especially for big waves.
How rare is that? How rare is that to operate? So you're forecasting the seas, but you're also forecasting the wind.
Right. So the first part is you look for the seas, right? Because you can't surf if there's no swell, right? So you got to have a source to produce your swell. But then there's a whole nother series of models. I guess we could go actually look at one, and I'll just do one for Northern California because it's right here. Then there's local wind models. So there's Half Moon Bay, and this is the forecast for local winds for the next 3 days, right? There's that. Okay. And then there's, well, what's the tide going to do, right? Is it high or low tide? And some spots react differently. And then swell angle, of course, which direction is the swell coming from? South or north, or even like 2 or 3 degrees difference at Mavericks makes a huge difference. Same thing for Nazaré, right? So all these spots have their own little peculiarities about what swell direction, what swell period. Too long a period, too much energy in the swell is a bad thing, but not enough, and it won't even break.
What's the perfect storm? No pun intended. For Mavericks.
Storm-wise or swell?
Both.
Okay, for Mavericks, I'd want a storm with 50-knot winds, 2,000 nautical miles away from the coast, out on about the 285-degree great circle path, okay? And near shore, I want no wind. I want a medium tide going towards high, and it has to, of course, the swell has to hit during daylight hours.
I think we talked before. You can forecast this. You forecast the surf, but you can give yourself a little bit of room so yourself can get
a little wiggle room,
a couple of waves without too many people being out there.
Well, yeah. So you tell the public, okay, it's going to hit at 2:00 on Wednesday, but it's really going to hit at 12. So you get 2 hours for yourself and your buddies.
That's pretty naughty right there.
Oh yeah. Well,
You deserve it though.
Yeah. You sit in a dark room all day long for days on end, looking through all this stuff. There's got to be some reward.
Absolutely. Is there a favorite wave that you have that you enjoy forecasting? Is there Is Mavericks the one for you?
Mavericks for me, or
Yeah.
in the summer, Santa Cruz is
Yeah.
great, you
Yeah.
know. And we could do that. Let's go look. Just
Yeah, what am I surfing tomorrow morning?
tomorrow, maybe not so much. So okay,
Yeah.
so Santa Cruz anywhere of the south-facing breaks. So now we're looking at Australia,
Yeah.
New Zealand,
Yeah.
Antarctica, the Ross Ice Shelf here. So, and I'm going to go back in time. So today, there is a gale developing southeast of New Zealand
Yeah.
with 31-foot seas, pushing off to the northeast into Saturday with like 33-foot seas and fading. There will be a swell generated from that.
Okay.
Now, that is 5,000 nautical miles
Away.
south of California.
Right.
But swell from this, remember we used the concrete block dropping in the ocean? Here's your concrete block. There's going to be ripples coming out from this. And they are going to make it the whole way to California a week from now.
Oh, wow.
So you can
that.
dial the, yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I guess I can't go to work, on Tuesday, the whatever.
And let me ask you this question. I think you gave me the answer before, but I think it's important for people to know. The South Swell has intervals.
Yes.
And then you got like the 6 waves, and you got to wait 20 minutes, another 6, 20 minutes. Why does that happen? Why is that like that?
Yeah, why does that happen?
Yeah.
So what?
It doesn't happen on a swell from the north.
It does,
No,
but
it
it's
does?
but it's not. The sets are a lot closer
Yeah.
stacked together. But it has to do with that 5,000 nautical mile journey
Right.
to the north. What happens is waves of equal period, of equal energy, will group together, and the more energetic waves move faster. So on this swell here, the first bit of energy you're going to see coming into California will probably be like 18 or 19 second period, and you'll be sitting there and it'll be perfectly calm, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere 4 or 5 waves will show up and start hitting at Santa Cruz, and they'll be like 18 or 19 second period. Then there'll be nothing for half an hour.
Can you explain the 18 second the time that what's called the 18-second period or night? The seconds of the period. Can you explain that for the layman person maybe watching?
Yeah, good point, or good question. So waves, depending on how much, a period is the time between successive crests of a wave. So if you have a fixed point in the ocean and a wave goes past it, okay, you start your clock as soon as the wave peaks at that point, and then the next wave comes, and that interval between crests of the waves is known as the period.
You want longer period or shorter period?
Yeah, so short period,
Yeah.
like 6 second and 5 second, that's like chop.
Yeah, okay.
It's like wind chop, like you wouldn't want to be out there on
the coast of Brighton.
Exactly.
The English Channel is just chop.
Yeah. And then the longer the period, that means the more energy there is in the waves, and so you'll get like 16, 18, 20, even up to 25 second interval between waves. Those are much more powerful waves, and when they break, they can be a lot more dangerous. You can add sneaker waves and sneaker sets, and people drowning at the beach. Typically, it's not from high energy, short period waves. You're sitting there, the ocean's perfectly calm, and then out of nowhere, here comes this wave, and what they typically are is long period waves from way far away, sneaking up, when you'd otherwise go, hey, it's perfectly calm, it's safe.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Do some of the big wave surfers call you?
Yeah, all the time.
Who calls you the most? Who's top of the chart? Who calls you like...
Well, I mean, the top of the chart are guys that are big wave surfers, but they don't, they're not known. They're my buddies, local guys I surf with. Yeah. But I mean, there's a whole group of, you name pretty much anybody, and they have my number. I mean, I typically don't advertise that sort of stuff, and I don't name names, but there's a lot of guys that are on the pro tour, or they call, they want to know what's going on, and I'm happy to help.
It's fascinating where you live. I mean, I'm going to tell people where you live, but like where we're at, like what, 40 miles from the ocean, 50.
Yeah, it's 36
right?
miles.
And here I am in this house, and 30.
In the middle of suburbia.
In the middle of suburbia, and
right?
It's like
what's going on here? How can this be? But It was a compromise when I moved into the area.
Yeah.
It's like housing affordability
Yeah,
and
of
schools.
course.
We had a
Right.
daughter and all that,
Yeah.
and so this kind of was the spot. But I moved from Florida.
Yeah.
In Florida, I lived right, a block from the beach. I could surf anytime I wanted,
Yeah.
but every time I wanted to go surf, it's knee to thigh high and it's
Yeah.
spineless. Or I could pick this spot. Yeah, I got to drive a little, but when I go, it's pumping.
I had a friend of mine. His name's Pete Madden. He's going to watch the show because he loves the show.
Hey, Pete.
He's a Great Lake surfer.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then the other day he was like, texted me, check this out. Tornado warning. I'm in the basement of my house. Tornado warning.
Wow.
Which is generating. He goes, but once it's gone, it's generating surf.
Right.
In the Great Lakes.
Yeah, because there's a front or something coming across the lake.
It's going to be going off, right? I'm like, yeah. Then he showed me a picture of it was a tornado warning, and then there was a debris warning.
A debris warning.
Yeah. Right, where
flying roofs.
Because your garbage cans coming at you,
at 80 miles an hour.
In the middle of
Yep.
So I never seen it before. Debris warnings. That's pretty interesting.
I got to give credit to those guys up in the Great Lakes. They're super hardy, super stoked.
I wrote an article in Santa Cruz Waves magazine one time. I'm going, you know what? I forgot what I called it, what the title was, but these guys, forget Mavericks and all these big wave surfers. These guys, what they go through to surf is like it's unbelievable.
They have true soul, true love of surfing.
It's not salt water, so it's not buoyant.
Right.
So you're getting slammed and you're getting held down. You're not coming back up. Right. You've got to avoid the icebergs.
Yep.
Right. You got to drive around the freezing ass cold.
Right, and the forecasts are probably notoriously unreliable because you're talking about some little gust of wind over a body of water that's all of 300 miles long or something. Right. So super fickle, and you have to drop everything when it happens.
Exactly.
Because if you're there 2 hours later, you blew it.
And it's minus something or other.
Right.
It's freaking cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, I call those guys the true
the heart of surfing,
the true grit.
Yes, absolutely.
They take the cake.
Right, I would say maybe the guys from New Jersey, but no, the guys from the Great Lakes take the cake.
And I've surfed in New Jersey because my brother lives in New Jersey. I surfed Manasquan
and there's good waves there.
There's good waves there, but they rely on hurricanes and. You see a hurricane come by, it just wakes every surfer up on that coast.
Exactly, and you can actually see it coming for a couple of days in advance, or even a week.
But that's different, though. The long period swell is that different because of the hurricane?
Well, exactly. So hurricanes, a big hurricane has a rate, of decent size of winds coming out from the center. It goes out maybe 250 miles if you're lucky, and oftentimes it's more like 100 or 120, whereas the storms we were talking about earlier for the North Pacific, it's 1,000 nautical miles of wind all blowing in the same direction. So that back to the analogy of you're dropping like a pebble in a pond and watching the waves radiate out from it. A hurricane is like a small pebble.
Right.
The North Pacific, but if you throw it really hard into the water, you can get a pretty decent sized ripple out of it.
Right.
Whereas the North Pacific storm, or maybe the storms that are hitting Nazare, is you're dropping boulders into the pool. Right.
Well, you have a fascinating job.
I feel very fortunate.
It's never the same. It's always a different picture, isn't it?
It's every day. Pretty much at least 2, if not 3 times a day. The models update 4 times a day.
Yeah.
So I sleep through one of them, but the other 3 times, pretty much, I'm checking to, especially if there's a storm that I'm interested in.
Right.
Then I'll watch every run of the model, pull data off of it.
So if there's a storm coming, 9:00's bedtime, right?
Right.
But are you staying up through the night because I gotta watch this thing?
No. I used to do that.
Right?
Yeah, no. So I can actually capture all the imagery of, even while I'm sleeping. I've got it all rat-holed off, so I can know what happens.
So you've got stormsurf.com.
Yep.
You have your own YouTube channel.
Yep.
Right?
And it's Stormsurf 001.
Stormsurf 001. And
I do weekly forecasts, typically on Sunday night, and they're focused on short term, but there's also a lot of discussion about the El Nino, La Nina thing, what's going on, that sort of deal.
So people watching, you can subscribe to that channel.
Yes, you can.
It's free. You just push
free, couple of ads, that's it.
Ads, no big deal, and you get to see this great guy right here. And I want to thank you, Mark, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Did we miss anything?
I think we covered it all, and then some.
I appreciate your time.
All righty, thank you.
I know. I called him. I texted him this morning. Go, hey, I'm close by. Can I come by? And all many people said, no. Mark said, come on by. So
yeah, I'm here.
I want to appreciate it.
I'm here to serve.
Stormsurf.com, and the YouTube channel is Stormsurf001. Okay, give it a subscription. Give it a subscription. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for another updated radio show back with TC next Tuesday. See you then. Thanks for watching.